All right. I'm finding it hard. I find it difficult to find time to do a video. I live in a small house and 2 kids and 2 bedrooms. It's difficult to find time to do something without getting interrupted. But I've got 20 minutes before my kid comes out of school, so I'm a bit early today. So I thought I'd do a quick video. So I'm going to do some proper scripted videos as well in the future, but I want to do some stuff where I'm just talking. We'll call this segment, we'll call it Rant on the Road, even though I'm just parked my car. So what I'm going to talk about is today is I sold my Pentax KP camera about a week and a half ago, and I think that was quite an interesting process to buy that camera and sell it. And I think only maybe when you start to sell something do you start to maybe appreciate the value, and you question whether that was a good purchase or not. Was it a mistake? Was it rubbish? Was it good? And so yeah, the title of this little episode, is what is the Pentax KP, Pentax's last good value camera. Because the thing that, there will always be a better camera, always a better camera. I think you need to judge a camera on its own strengths and weaknesses, and you got to take into account price for that. And I bought my KP about 3 years ago, and I paid about 1,000 Aussie dollars for it. It's around about 1,200 Aussie dollars, but you can get it for about $1,000, maybe just a bit under. And I sold it for $650, so which is about the going price if you go to eBay completed listings. That's fair. It had done 15,000 shots, so I worked out that that basically cost me about $350 for 3 years. It's like my maths is crap, like $120 or whatever, per year. 15,000 shots. I think I worked out I paid about 2 cents per pic for using that camera, which is just, I think fantastic value. And it's a good solid little camera. It really, really is good. I mean, I got a Fuji, it's been replaced with a Fuji X-T4, which is a completely different beast. It's a $2,000 camera. It's got much better video capabilities, autofocus. It's going to suit my purposes much better than what the KP did at the time. But I almost feel like you can't compare the 2 cameras. So one's half the price, really, than the other one. So you've got to just look at it from that perspective. And the reason I bought it to begin with was I needed a second camera. I was just starting to do event work and wedding work, and I had the K1 full frame camera was my primary camera. And if anything was to go wrong, you need a second body, and I couldn't afford another K1, so I went with the KP. And just to show you that you do need it, I actually did with the K1 have a full hard reset during a wedding ceremony. So I'm glad I had the KP right next to me to keep on shooting and documenting that moment. So yeah, really important. And I think that's the other thing as well, when people talk about cameras, with somebody who's doing professional work or offering their services, you almost have to double everything you buy. I mean, really, you should have ×2 of the same lens, and ×2 triggers, and ×2 strobes, and it gets expensive. So yeah, but I bought the KP because it had 5 user mode dials. So I use these custom mode dials quite a lot, and the K1 has 5 user modes as well. And so I felt as though I could set things up exactly the same way on the K1 on the KP, so that I could just know which mode dial to be in at any one time through that professional work. And I think that is really the clincher. That the K70 was the other consideration, but that camera can have that aperture failure block thing. My K50 had it, and I just feel as though it's not a question of if your camera will have that problem, it's a question of when. So for me, that's how I feel about it. So for me, the KP and the K1 are cameras that can't have that issue. So I really just, that's why I said I didn't really research the KP that much. I just felt like, well, that's it. It's like I can't afford. It was out of the K3 Mark II, which was kicking about, but not for new. I couldn't buy that new anymore. I had to go for a second-hand one. That would have probably been a pretty good camera to have as well. I think the K1 only bested the KP only bested the K32 from a perspective of ISO and clean images and noise, which is important in event work. If you're having to shoot at 3200 ISO, you want a nice clean image, and the KP can deliver there. Really usable images at 1600 ISO and 3200. So yeah, it's flown the nest now, and it's made me just think about my relationship with that camera. It came in Australia. When you buy the KP, it only comes with a small grip. I think at some point in time, Pentax were releasing the KP with all 3 grips. I don't know why that wasn't standard, but mine's only came with a small, and I really put up the small for way too long. I bought the large grip for $50 when it was on reduced in sale. I think it's stupidly priced at like $70 or $80 for like a stupid bit of rubber. But anyway, I got it for $50, and really that transformed the way I feel about that camera. It made me motivated to pick it up and use it a lot more. I don't know what's going on with mirrorless cameras as well. I don't have my Fuji here, but that thing's horrible to hold as well. I don't know why ergonomics is so difficult for manufacturers to get right. It feels like Pentax is the only company to kind of do it on some of their models, not all. Like say the KP isn't the greatest ergonomics. It looks cool, but yeah, especially when you consider professional cameras where you're going to use them all day in your hand, you want it to feel good. Why the XT4 has this naff recess. I've even bought a bigger grip for the XT4. It's marginally better. Stupid. Anyway, where was I? Chain of thought. So yeah, so the KP was improved by putting a large grip on. I didn't like it that much to begin with though, because I think I learned a lot of photography on the K1, and it just feels so much better to use, and the full size OVF experience is just much better. But I was also using like a lot of FA limit. It's a lot of specialized full frame glass. I never liked what the FA77 did on the KP that much compared to what it did on the K1 or the FA43. They always felt constrained, and you weren't seeing the full magic, because I believe the edging around the frame is where a lot of the magic happens in the FA limit. It's about that transition from where you have focus to all the way to the out of focus. And if you're in crop, it feels like it's not as much of a transition. It's smaller, and it is much better when you get more. So yeah, that's what I feel about those lenses. So it wasn't until I bought the 55 to 300 PLM and put that on the KP, I started to feel quite different about that camera, and it started to really shine. I thought, okay, so this is maybe what this camera's much better suited towards. I mean, I had the HD DA 20 to 40 and the DA 12 to 24 at the time as well, but it was really the 55 to 300 PLM that I just thought, wow, this is really rocking something pretty cool here. Because I used the HD DA 2040 and 12 to 24 and full frame quite a lot as well, because they're quite compatible to a certain degree. How are we doing for time? 10 minutes, talking too much shit. So yeah, it was a really, really good camera. And when I did event work, and how I approached the culling process from event work would be to chuck all the files in one folder and then sort them by date and time. That way I'm culling a particular scene, and it doesn't matter what camera I took it with. If that's the best shot, if the best shot came from the KP, that's the one that gets to be kept, and the other ones get chucked. And when you're going through that culling process, I couldn't tell half the time which file came from which camera. It's that good. It's almost indistinguishable from a K1 file. It really is. You have to be very in tune to know the difference. But really good files. And so that image quality, it's fantastic for crop. It's just really good. Excellent dynamic range, excellent ISO and low noise ISO control. The other few things I liked about the KP that seldom mentioned, I'll mention them here, is its electronic shutter mode is superior to the K1 in the following regards. You can use electronic shutter mode in OVF mode. You don't have to use it in live view mode, although I do believe it makes a bit of a noise in OVF mode. It just could be the mirror or something going on there, not too sure. It is absolutely silent in live view mode. You can't hear anything, which is great for event work. You can use it if you choose to use ES in the OVF, then you will get you're able to use it in high continuous burst mode, which you can't in the K1, and you can use it with AFC, which again you can't on the K1 in its ES mode. So pretty cool things there. And yeah, I also really liked it for it has a unique bracketing mode, shooting mode called aperture bracketing, and I quite like that. It fires 3 shots off in really super quick succession, because remember it bursts at 7 frames a second, so it can finish 3 shots if there's enough light super fast, and you get different apertures for each shot, but the exposure is the same. So maybe you either have more noise or less noise, and different shutter speeds, but yeah, your aperture is changing, and that was really good for things like flowers. I'll throw some images up to illustrate what I did with that, but it's good for things like flower photography, so you can have a very stop down shot for the flower itself and then render the bokeh in a much wider aperture, so you get better subject isolation, but you're retailing sharpness and detail across a wider area. So it's really cool. I wish that mode came out for the K1. I don't understand why, again, Pentax couldn't do something like a firmware update and just get those things rolled out, but it doesn't. That's that. But no, it's just it's a really good camera with a K33 coming out and the price tag attached to it. I'm going to guess it's about 2,300 Aussie dollars. That's expensive for what it is. I mean, now you really are starting to compare things like the X-T4 against it, and maybe thinking about a different camera entirely. But the KP for the price, that's just fantastic. Right now in Pentax Australia, I think they've got the K1 at a ridiculous $3,000, which to me makes no sense. I bought mine 2 years ago, new, in a physical store in Sydney for 2,300. I think there was 20% off, so I think full retail was about 2,700, 2,900 or something like that, but I got it for about 2,300, 2,400 new in a physical store. Now it's about 3,200. Strange, but KP is still about 1,200, which is what it was when I bought it. And yeah, if you wait for 20% off, you can get it down to 1,000. So it's for somebody who wants a landscape camera, small, compact, where you're going to tripod and use ISO 100 for a lot of your shots. It's a fantastic camera, really. I mean, you save yourself. I would recommend, say if somebody came to me and said, Ed, I'd like a landscape camera, can't really afford full frame, what would you recommend? I would actually recommend the KP for that kind of work. Rather than spend $2,000 on the Fuji X-T4, you could have that $1,000 you save from buying the KP, you could use that for a lens, the DA 11 to 18 or something like that. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that. I think we all bash Pentax a lot these days, and but I wonder where the direction of the Pentax are going in the future, and I wonder if the KP is Pentax's last good value camera. I know that when I bought the K50, it was what led me to buy that camera was the fact it was good value compared to what else was out. It seemed to have more options and features than Canon and Nikon budget entry levels. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. If you want to follow more crap stories like this, hit like and subscribe. Yeah, I'll do some proper videos in the near future where I'll do proper lens testing, or some things I'm going to do, like a Takuma 7 versus 8 element. I've got both of those now. I want to do a little vlog about that. I would like to do I've got a medium format 645D. I'd like to do that against K1. So we could do some comparisons there. So I've got a few ideas for things. But yeah, if you want to let me know something you'd like to talk about or see, let me know. All right, I think the boy's about to come, so I'll sign off. All right, bye.